I can't wait to see him, just to yell congratulations.
Now, in an incredibly strange coincidence, Brooke Shields, who Tom publicly tore apart last year because she was taking antidepressants for postnatal depression, she also had a baby today, which measured exactly the same as Tom and Katie's baby and pretty much weighed almost the same. Very bizarre. Now, we've got no more details about Katie's birth, although there's been so much speculation in the build-up. The silence, the drugs, the mouthpiece. Hopefully I'll get to the bottom of exactly how it all went when I catch up with Tom for an interview in a couple of days' time.
Oh, get you, Carla. Thank you very much indeed.
That felt like the longest pregnancy in the history of the world. Yeah. Thank goodness it's over.
Here.
Indeed, indeed. Let's get this morning's other news stories now from Amanda.
Jackie, thank you. Good morning. Mass meetings will be held today at Peugeot's car factory at Ryton near Coventry. Thousands of workers are facing redundancy after the firm's decision to close the plant. Well, Jonathan Swain is at the home of one of the families who are affected. Jonathan, good morning to you.
Morning, Amanda. Just take a look behind me. That's a Peugeot 206, which is parked in the front of the house. That's what Rob Tomlinson has been building for the last 8 years, but no more. He and 2,300 workers from the Ryton plant here in Coventry will be out of a job in the next few months, which is obviously causing hardship for lots of families in the area. Here's Rob now with 8-year-old Hannah and 10-year-old Connor. Morning to you, Rob. How are you going to cope then?
Well, it's just basically finding another job and see what happens. I don't anticipate being in work for long. I think that I just survived the last redundancy. Don't think I'll survive this one. And we've just entered the 90-day consultation period. And I think I could be out of work by Whitsun.
Now, you've got kind of holidays planned, your kitchen's just been refitted, you've got, you know...
Yeah, just bought a new kitchen yesterday for £3,000. We've got a holiday booked in Turkey.
Not paid for?
Not, well, paid the deposit, which was only £99, but the rest has got to be paid at the beginning of June. So, yeah, it's worrying times ahead.
And there's obviously a lot of job losses last year as well, isn't there, with Rover closing now and all other car plants, so... Yeah, the job market's a bit tight, isn't it?
Yeah, 6,000 people lost their jobs at Longbridge, a couple of thousand at Browns Lane Jaguar, and a couple of thousand within the last 18 months at Peugeot itself, and now another couple of thousand. It's going to be hard to find work. OK,
Rob, thanks very much indeed. So, Amanda, there is a meeting at around 9 o'clock this morning, but you can see Rob isn't hopeful that his job will be saved.
Jonathan, thanks very much for that. President Bush says all options, including the use of force, are still available to the United States to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. He's told reporters that diplomacy was still his first priority, but has refused to rule out any military action.
All options are on the table. We want to solve this issue diplomatically, and we're working hard to do so. The best way to do so is therefore there to be a united effort with countries who recognize the danger of Iran having a nuclear weapon.
Police say they're almost certain that a woman jumped 100 feet to her death from the Humber Bridge with her 12-year-old son. The body of Ryan Davis was pulled from the River Humber on Easter Sunday. His mother, Alison, is still missing. Friends and family have paid tribute to them both. The Lord Chancellor is expected to face a grilling today from MPs about the funding of political parties. Lord Faulkner is giving evidence to the Commons Constitutional Affairs Committee as part of the fallout from the Cash for Honours row. A police investigation is already underway into whether peerages were sold to party donors. The time is now 6 I'm back at 6:30. Here's John and Jackie.
Thank you, Amanda. Time to look at the papers now. I will start off. Daily Telegraph has a very sweaty-looking picture there of Tony Blair, and the headline is Blair resorts to cartoon jibes at Dave the Chameleon. That's that chameleon starring in the Labour Party election broadcast, which you probably saw on TV last night. Independent has a story about America meeting the new superpower. This is a story about the Chinese president visiting Washington. The Times, NHS can't afford a drug that transforms lives, a new breakthrough treatment for diabetes, which has been rejected by the government's drug watchdog because they say it's not cost-effective. And on The Guardian, back to the NHS crisis, Blair faces an inquiry, £700 million deficit.
Daily Mail has a story saying that George Michael's, or we have to say, alleged addiction to cannabis could be putting his life at risk, according to one of his friends. Daily Express, waste of our cash. That's a story about the NHS accused of wasting money by helping a sex change sailor to feel more feminine. The Daily Mail, that horrific story about the casualty ward nurse who poisoned patients to satisfy his lust for excitement. And in The Sun, a story saying that Jay Goody, the Big Brother star, has lost nearly £500,000 after one of her friends apparently stole cheques and cashed them. And on the back pages, take a look at that. That's Blast Night is the headline there. All of them featuring Arsenal in one shape or another this morning. Don't blow it is a headline in the Mail. And in the Daily Express, Henry vows to go out as a winner, and they can almost taste the glory, I can tell you, up at Highbury. It's Arsenal's first Champions League semi-final, and tonight they host Spanish outsiders Villarreal in the first leg. The fans are pretty confident.
The atmosphere will be full on, very busy.
It'll be 2-0 like the Juventus game.
I've got all the faith in them. I think definitely they're going to be there, they're going to do it, and that's it.
I'm not going to predict any scores because I don't want to jinx the game in any other way, but I would say Henry's going to have a good game.
And sitting alongside me is someone who hopes he's right, Kenny, old pal Kenny Sampson. Last night, of course, Arsenal were sizing up their potential opponents, AC Milan and Barcelona, and we know the outcome of that. Barcelona won 1-0, which away from home is a good start for them, isn't it?
Oh, I think Barcelona, I think possibly the best team in the competition, John. I think it'd be lovely for an Arsenal-Barcelona final, but it'll be tough tonight. It won't be easy. I think most nights I've been over to Arsenal in recent years, the tension from the fans has been immense, but I think they're a little bit more relaxed, and I think that's rubbed off on the players. And in Europe, they're actually playing very, very well, and I think they've got a great chance. It'll be a great atmosphere tonight. There's no doubt. There's
their goal last night,
Barcelona's goal. What a great strike!
Yeah.
Great pass from Ronaldinho.
They are a powerful team. Now, Villarreal, who Arsenal play tonight, I mean, 10 years ago, no one had ever heard of this team, had they?
No, but they're very, very strong. They're like a type of Bolton. They work very, very hard. So I think they come to Highbury tonight to defend and try and keep it at 0-0, possibly 1-0, then go back to Spain and obviously try and get through. But I'm just pretty confident that Arsenal are going to do it this time.
Well, I mean, fingers crossed on behalf of the whole country, I'm sure, for Arsenal. It's going to be a hugely emotional night, the last European tie. Very emotional for people like you who played there so often. Thierry Henry, who may be seeing his last game there. Arsene Wenger too.
Hopefully not. I mean, it'd be. I think if we lose someone like Thierry Henry, it could knock the club back a little bit. Obviously, we're in 5th spot in the Premiership at this minute in time, going very well in Europe. Obviously, the semi-final tonight, but we've got to keep the likes of Arsene Wenger and Thierry Henry, and obviously Ashley Cole was mentioned this morning as well. Still, Real Madrid are still interested, but it'd be a real big shame, I think, from an Arsenal's point of view. You beat Real Madrid, you beat Juventus. Get to the semi-final, you play Villarreal, who are one of the, I wouldn't say the weaker sides, but one of the lesser-known sides, and you know, if they trip up tonight, it'd be a massive blow.
Let's assume they don't, and let's assume they get through to the final, and they have to take on it looks like Barcelona. What are their chances then, do you reckon?
I just think it'd be a fantastic match. You know, Ronaldinho against Thierry Henry. Who's going to steal the headlines? I think it'd be a fantastic game to actually watch, because both teams play exciting, pacey football, and they've got people that can go past people.
Well, we wish you well, Ken. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Take care.
It's 11 minutes past 6. Now, if you're a driver, buckle up for a summer of misery. Petrol prices are tipped to break £1 a litre, and some experts even predict a 10% rise over the next few months. Well, Rachel Harrison has found one of the most expensive forecourts in the country. That's in Oxfordshire. Good morning, Rachel. How much is it there, then?
Yes, good morning, Jackie. Well, the figures really speak for themselves. 97.9 for a regular unleaded and 99.9 for diesel. And the government, as you know, for some time been trying to get us actually to leave our car at home, to walk, to opt for public transport. And basically, the price of oil is actually letting them get their green message across, but for all the wrong reasons. The price of oil yesterday hit a staggering all-time high, and that, of course, has impacted us all at the pumps. These figures are some of the highest in the country, but we've been monitoring the situation all over. And in Scotland, we saw petrol for 93.9 pence a litre, and also in Scotland slightly less at 91.9 pence per litre, but still very significant indeed. And if you think that it's just motorists that are being hit hard by this, think again, because British Airways announced yesterday that they are increasing their £30 levy to £35 on all long-haul flights. They say that their fuel bill this year has gone up by £600 million, and that's 4 times higher than their bill back in 2001. They're saying that basically the cost of oil means that we are going to have to basically pay for the cost in order to fly anywhere. And the only good news I've got for you this morning is that although it's bad news for motorists and bad news for holiday makers, the price of petrol is still less than a bottle of water.
That's a cheerful thought, Rachel. Thank you very much. Well, lots of reasons for the price rises. The threat of conflict between Iran and America being one of them. Cordelia Kretschmar is in Manhattan this morning, where motorists are certainly feeling the impact.
We are here in America. More cars drink more petrol than anywhere else in the world. Driving here is really key to the American way of life, and that means drivers are horrified at this latest round of price hikes. What it means for them is that they now have to pay around £35 to £40 to fill up an average tank of petrol. Now, for a Brit, that really hurts to hear because it's around half the price we have to pay back home. But for them, it's all about the psychologically important $3 a gallon mark. Across America, it's now pushing that, and here in New York, it's busted straight through.
This is a crazy price. I'm from California, and I just stopped here to get gas, and I can't believe it's like this.
Can't believe it. This morning it was much lower.
Cordelia, thank you very much. Well, I'm joined by Dr. Mark Duckenfield from the London School of Economics, who lectures on the world economy. Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Now, all these scare stories are very frightening for drivers. Realistically, how high do you think the prices are going to go in the next few months?
Well, I think there'll certainly be a increase in prices that will follow on from the increase that we've seen in the last few months. But I think there's probably a top to it, and we're roughly around it.
What's the top? Oh, this is the top, do you think?
Oh, well, it's impossible to say if the crisis with Iran deteriorates further. It's unlikely to, but it's certainly a possibility, and that's what spooks the market. On the other hand, it's not an economic fundamental that's pushed the price so high. It's a political fear.
We've mentioned the situation in Iran, but it's not just that. There's instability in other oil-producing countries as well. But what other reasons are there for it?
Well, you have an insurgency in Nigeria that's closed down most of the delta there. You have the strained relations between Venezuela and the United States. The Iraqi situation continues to be a complete debacle. So you have a lot of major oil producers who are undergoing serious political problems, and the markets fear this will disrupt the supply. And in fact, in some cases, it certainly has. Iraq, for instance.
Now, Rachel mentioned there that it's not just in our cars we're going to see the impact. Flying, for example, could become more expensive. Food prices, is there a possibility that they might rise because transport costs will increase?
Well, absolutely. The energy prices affect almost everything in the economy, and everything that's affected by them, it'll feed on through. Fuel prices in terms of airfare are probably more likely to see increases than we are with automobiles, because the taxes, at least in the United Kingdom, on fuel for airplanes is so much less than it is for automobiles.
So who wins when the prices rise? Is there somebody there creaming off a nice fat profit?
Well, the oil companies are doing quite well. The advantage of this is it gives them a lot more money to spend on exploration. If the price of oil is $70 to the barrel, they can start going to places that were otherwise quite inhospitable. 20 years ago, 30 years ago, it was the North Sea, Norway, and Alaska. This time around, it might be even farther into Alaska and other inhospitable climates.
Just briefly, is there anything that the man on the street can do that we can do in our daily driving around to save money, to try and keep the prices down?
Well, carpooling is obviously one thing that people can do, and anything that would lessen the number of trips you take, making multiple stops on the same trip as opposed to lots of small journeys.
Good advice. Dr. Mark Duckenfield, thank you very much for joining us. And if you spot pricey petrol this morning, we'd like to hear from you. If you can go out and take a picture with your mobile phone of those prices, you can send it to us at this number. It's on the screen there, 07739 672 673, 07739 672 673. Or you can text us with your views, as usual, on 81189. You can also find out where the cheapest petrol is being sold near you if you go to our website, gm.tv.
Time now 17 minutes past 6. Still to come here on the News Hour. Police say it's very likely Alison Davis and her 12-year-old son Ryan did jump to their death from the Humber Bridge. So what drives a mother to take the life of her and her only son?
We'll have more on that for you after this break.
Sometimes I feel like I'm sitting on this long, slow conveyor belt, just watching the world go by.
A moment of realisation.
So it's true, people like me really can train to be a doctor?
Can be a moment to savour.
I've looked into it and I think I can do it.
Well, I think you should do it. Otherwise you might regret it.
Seize the moment.
I expect 100% commitment from each and every one of you. No excuses.
Tamsin Outhwaite, Vital Signs. Brand new drama next Thursday at 9, ITV1.
Don't blow piles out of all proportion. Get soothing relief with Germaloid's HC spray.
There's a good reason why the best-selling treatment for warts and verrucas is clinically proven Bazooka Gel. Bazooka simply and safely eliminates warts and verrucas and dries to form a water-resistant protective barrier. No mess, no fuss, no plasters. So for a painless answer to warts and verrucas, ask your pharmacist for the #1 selling Bazooka Gel. And Bazooka that verruca.
Love the food you're eating and still lose weight. Love sharing what works and laughing about what doesn't. You're going to love Weight Watchers. Choose from 2 great plans that let you eat the food you love. People who go to Weight Watchers meetings lose on average 3 times more weight than those who go it alone. Come to a meeting now and register free. Love Weight Watchers. Call 08456 777788 and watch yourself change.
This is just one of many half-price offers in the Harvey Spring Sale, isn't it?
Offers now extended.
Join ITV's most loved cast in a unique night of entertainment.
How do you feel about an older woman?
And watch them give a performance of their lives.
2 great voices, 1 Beatles masterpiece.
There's one last chance to say thank you to...
Keep watching.
An audience with Coronation Street, Saturday at 9, ITV1.
Welcome back to, I'm afraid, a very tragic story. It seems almost certain now that 40-year-old mother Alison Davis did jump to her death from the Humber Bridge with her 12-year-old son Ryan. So what drives a mother to take the life of herself and her only son? Rachel Phillips is at the Humber Bridge for us this morning. Rachel, very good morning to you. Terribly sad story. Apparently this lady was depressed and her son Ryan also had his problems.
Absolutely. Although Ryan was 12 years old, he suffered from a condition called Syndrome X and only had the mental age of a 7-year-old. Now, Alison was finding it very difficult to look after him and she'd been diagnosed with depression. And in a note that she left to her family, she said that she felt the pair were a burden to her family and that she intended to bring them to the Humber Bridge here to do both her and Ryan harm. Now, of course, Ryan's body was found on Sunday, some 20 miles along the coast here. Now, Alison's friend and neighbour has been describing her character.
She was caring, outgoing, lovely, very down to earth and honest. You know, she cared about people around her and their feelings.
Well, police yesterday finished looking through CCTV footage of 2 people jumping from the bridge. Now, they say it's extremely likely it was Alison and Ryan, but until her body is found, they can't confirm that absolutely.
Rachel, for the time being, thanks very much indeed. Joined in the studio now by Marjorie Wallace from the mental health charity SAME. Marjorie, good to see you. Thanks very much indeed for being with us. Terrible, awfully sad story, this. Difficult to understand, trying to begin to understand what drives a mother to such desperate lengths as this.
Well, we don't find it very difficult because we listen to literally hundreds of people every week on our helpline Sane Line who say the same kind of things. I mean, for some people, life becomes simply intolerable. And it was sad, we're saying that she went to harm herself and harm her child because they're not thinking like that. They're thinking that they're saving the child from a very hostile and dark world. And this is the dark world into which they've plunged. Things become intolerable. They sort of lose all sense of their worthfulness. I mean, they say, you know, I'm worth nothing, I'm guilty of everything. They lose all appetite for life. And it's extremely sad.
And how do you think she would... The boy was autistic, had some learning difficulties, but how do you think she would go about persuading him to join her?
I don't think that's very difficult either. I mean, if she's going to say that they must have been quite unhappy and at times she must have been
very grief-stricken and probably crying quite a lot. And she was saying, you know, this is the only way. This is a way out of this terrible world we're in, and the loneliness she must have felt. And this is what most people with depression do feel, just a terrible sense of loneliness, which is why we encourage them to ring helplines and seek help. Because what is tragic is that there is so much help available, and that about 70% of people who have very, very severe depression will recover if they have the right kind of therapy, maybe talking therapy, maybe antidepressants, maybe both.
The trouble is, of course, and we don't know all the details of this case, but the trouble is, of course, that in many instances, people who could point her or someone like her in the right direction don't know that that person is depressed, because to all intents and purposes, this lady and her son were coping quite well.
Again, that's very characteristic. People hide it. They feel guilty about feeling this terrible sort of winter in their mind. They feel they've lost God. That's often what people say, is they've lost their soul, they've lost God. And they feel in some way that it's a punishment. And they think people will blame them for it. And that's what's so important. From a lesson to be learned from a story like this is, you know, whatever you think of anybody, you must never ever blame someone with depression, because it's a very severe illness like any other. What I really was sad about it is that there aren't many places of sanctuary, you know. There's nowhere for people to go, so that rather than walking out onto a bridge, if only she could have walked to a place where she could have felt safe, where somebody, professional people, could have assessed her and looked after her and her son.
And those places are around?
There are very few of those places, and that's what we campaign, to have more of those places, because people with depression are ill. They're as ill as with any, you know, for instance, one way of saying depression is a bit like sadness, the ordinary sadness you and I feel, is to depression, a bit like normal cells are to cancer. Somehow the disease, the illness takes over that person's mind, and really it needs time and rest and some skilled help to get back to positively thinking about a future.
There we have to leave it. Marjorie, thanks very much indeed for your insight into that difficulty, that problem. To find out how to spot the signs of depression, you can log on to a special guide we have on our website, where there's all sorts of help and information for you, or maybe someone you know who's in that situation, and saying the organisation Marjorie represents, I'm sure, would offer help as well.
They certainly will.
Thank you, Marjorie.
OK, we'll have a full update on the weather from Andrea in just a moment. But first of all, let's go to Keith Chogan. Your chance to win £10,000 by the end of the show.
It's the Great Easter Chagathon, which means you could win £10,000 today. We'll be revealing the winner by the end of the show, so here's the question you need to answer to be in with a chance of winning. Well, hey! What do children traditionally build on the beach? A. Sea castles. B. Sand castles. Or C. Sun castles. That was the question. Here's how you can enter.
You can dial 09068 100 100. That's 09068 100 100. Or you can text A, B or C as your answer, plus your name and full address to 81149. Or you can enter via the website.
Lines are only open till 9 o'clock, and we'll announce the winner by the end of the show. So good luck and get dialing. Why?
Thanks, Cheggers. Let's get some weather now with Andrea.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestlé Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family every morning.
Hello there, good morning. Doesn't look too good, does it? A fair amount of cloud around across the UK. This is the overnight satellite picture from just a few hours ago. We duck down underneath it. What you can see is it's not necessarily a lot of rain around for southern counties, a bit misty, a bit murky. But as we work our way further north, we are seeing, well, a fairly showery picture across parts of Wales, moving in towards the Midlands into northern England. I think the heaviest of the rain will be the further west that you go, and we've also got some rain as well for the southwest. Now, as I said, it's a fairly murky picture for more southern counties of England. Where you're missing out on this mist and murk, you could well see some sunshine. Not a bad start to the day for Northern Ireland, for southeastern parts of Scotland. We are seeing some showers, though, across the northwest. As we go into the afternoon, well, things will gradually change. We'll see these showers increasing across Scotland. I think southeastern most regions, you'll escape the worst of it. Temperatures getting up into double figures. It should stay fine and dry, but there you can see the showers continuing to move in across Scotland. Not a bad afternoon expected for Northern Ireland once the rain clears. Similar story, too, for much of of northern England, southern Scotland. It's as we sink our way further south that we will continue to see a mixture of sunshine and showers at times, maybe seeing some glimmer of brightness, which isn't too bad, but across South Wales, across towards Yorkshire, into East Anglia. Horrible afternoon, grey, wet. Temperatures, it says they're getting up to 13, maybe 15, but as you can see, it's breezy, so it might not feel like that. Maybe only the far southeast escaping the worst of the rain. And there you can see as well, it's a wet afternoon for South Wales, in towards Cornwall, Devon, Wiltshire, Dorset, those sort of regions. And again, you'll see temperatures around 12 or 14 degrees, but it probably won't feel quite like that because it is going to be fairly grey. So then, let's take a look and see what we've got in store for the next couple of days or so, the 5-day outlook. Things looking a bit better for tomorrow, but still a touch showery in places. As we move away further south, it's a similar story really. Thursday is going to be another wet day, and then I'm sorry to say it's a bit of a washout for the weekend. And as we move away further south, very similar story. We've got wet weather in store for Wednesday, improving a touch for Friday, and then the end of the weekend. The cameraman's shaking his head at me, not happy at all. It's going to be a bit of a washout. I don't make it, I just report it. Here's your summary.
For your in-depth local outlook, visit our website, gm.tv, or for a 10-day forecast, call GMTV's Weatherline on 0905 514 0000.
I think we're all shaking our heads there, Andy.
It's just not good enough. It's just not good enough.
Everywhere she's escaped.
There she is.
Every weekend.
I don't make it, I just report it.
Can't you just put a spin on it, a more positive spin, just to
next
cheer
time.
us up?
All right,
Okay.
you watch
All right.
next time.
Lie, in other words. Yeah.
Have a great weekend.
Thank you very much indeed, Andrew. 29 minutes past 6 is the time, Wednesday, 19th of April. You're watching the news hour here on GMTV.
In the next half an hour, waking up to redundancy, how it really feels to lose your job. We'll be live with one Peugeot factory worker and his family to find out how they'll face the future jobless.
Yes, and we meet the 4-year-old twins. So close they've developed their very own language. Sounds like me as I leave the pub. Anyway, more on that in about 20 minutes.
Oh dear. Right, we'll have a full update on all the news in just a moment. But first, that breaking showbiz story from America overnight. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes have produced, at long last, Carla Romano's in Los Angeles. I bet you're glad this morning, Carla.
You've got no idea, Jackie. Yup, it's finally happened. Tom and Katie, proud parents of a baby girl who they've called Suri, which means princess in Hebrew, and red rose in Persian. Either way, she can't go wrong. We know that mum and baby are doing well. Suri weighed in at 7 pounds, 7 ounces and measured 20 inches. Now, we don't know exactly where Katie gave birth, but we do know that Tom was very keen for her to have the baby at home. We hear he spent an estimated $250,000 on getting the house geared up for home birth, and that's where all the activity was today. The Cruise Beverly Hills mansion, all the media gathered outside, and also quite a few fans hoping to catch a glimpse of the star. A lot of excitement and best wishes all round.
We're big fans. We just want him to come out, congratulate him on his new baby.
Congratulations on your new baby.
Congratulations on the birth of their daughter.
Everybody's been waiting for it a long time now.
Congratulations on the miracle of life. I have twins here, so I know it's a blessing.
I think it's exciting news. I can't wait to see him, just to yell congratulations.
Now, in a very strange coincidence, Brooke Shields, who Tom criticised very publicly last year for taking antidepressants for postnatal depression, she also had a baby girl today with exactly the same measurements and pretty much weighed the same as well. Very strange situation. Now, back to Katie. We don't have any details about the actual birth, although there's been so much speculation in the build-up. This seems to be the most famous birth of all time. Did she make any noise? Did she have any drugs? Could she have any drugs? Did she suck on a giant dummy? Well, hopefully I'll get all the details when I get to sit down with Tom Cruise himself in about 2 days' time.
Oh, you get us all the gossip, Carla. Thanks very much.
Let's catch up on the news now with Amanda.
John, thank you. Good morning. Mass meetings will be held today at Peugeot's car factory at Brighton near Coventry. 2,300 workers are facing redundancy after the firm's decision to close the plant. It's the second major blow to the West Midlands car industry. Nearly 6,000 jobs were axed last year at MG Rover in Longbridge. President Bush says all options, including the use of force, are still available to the United States to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. He's told reporters that diplomacy is still his first priority, but refuses to rule out military action.
All options are on the table. We want to solve this issue diplomatically, and we're working hard to do so. The best way to do so is therefore there to be a united effort with countries who recognize the danger of Iran having a nuclear weapon.
The Lord Chancellor is expected to face a grilling today from MPs about the funding of political parties. Lord Faulkner is giving evidence to the Commons Constitutional Affairs Committee as part of the fallout from the Cash for Honours row. A police investigation is already underway into whether peerages were sold to party donors. Now, the search is on to rehome nearly 200 Yorkshire Terriers after they were discovered in cramped and squalid conditions following the death of their owner. Well, Sarah Gatenby is at an animal trust which is caring for 74 of the dogs. Sarah, good morning to you. How are they this morning?
Good morning. As you can see, their adorability factor hasn't been damaged at all by their ordeal. This little chap is just a few days old, and it's a miracle that he's survived at all. Try and imagine 204 Yorkshire Terriers crammed into a dark 60-foot garden shed with no windows. That was the sight that met the animal charity workers that were called to the home of dog breeder Elizabeth Stevens following her death on Sunday. The sight that met them was absolutely appalling. Many of the dogs had already died. A lot of them had been crammed into tiny cages that were just too small for them to even stand up. They had matted fur and were all dehydrated. It's now the job of charities like this one, the Celia Hammond Trust, to try and get these dogs fit and well and, most importantly, find them loving homes.
Absolutely. Sarah, many thanks for that. And that brings the time now to 6:34. Our next news bulletin is at 7. Now here's what's happening where you are this morning.
Good morning and welcome to the breakfast news from ITV Granada. Work on a £350 million scheme to widen one of the major routes into Liverpool gets underway today, but there's strong opposition to the regeneration project as hundreds of people will lose their homes. Elizabeth Fordham reports.
Edge Lane is the main route from the end of the M62 into Liverpool city centre, and during rush hour it can get very congested. So work to widen the road and build new homes and businesses is starting today. But not everybody is happy about it. The developers are going to have to knock down up to 500 homes to achieve the transformation, and the residents don't want to leave.
I said, well, you have to knock it down round me and shovel me up with the muck. Because I'm not going. I've not heard any more since.
Despite the opposition, the developers say the work will regenerate this part of the city.
There are a very limited number of people who are objecting to the scheme, which overall has tremendous benefits for both the residential and the commercial community in the area.
The scheme should be complete by the end of 2007.
Police searching for a mother from Stockport who's been missing for a week say hopes of finding her alive are very slim. Alison Davis disappeared with her 12-year-old son Ryan. He was found dead in the River Humber on Sunday. Police are examining CCTV footage which appears to show two people falling from the Humber Bridge. A school book once owned by John Lennon is going under the hammer today. It contains some of the earliest thoughts, drawings and poems of the former Beatle dating back to when he was just 12 years old. It's expected to fetch around £100,000. Sport now, and in football, Wigan Athletic have boosted their hopes of a place in Europe. They beat Aston Villa 3-2 at the JJB Stadium last night, their first home win of this year. In rugby league, the wait for a new coach goes on for Wigan Warriors. Brian Noble says he's still thinking about a possible move to the club. The Great Britain and Bradford boss was approached by Warriors after they parted company with Ian Millward last week. There are reports that an announcement on who'll become Wigan's 10th coach in as many years will come today. That's it for now. I'm back at 7:05. Time now for a look at the region's weather.
Take a deep breath and shout down the weather.
Is that the best you can do? It's a damp start with some heavy rain clearing away from Lancashire and South Cumbria. This afternoon, bright skies will develop, but so will some heavy showers. In the sunny spells, temperatures should climb to around 12 degrees Celsius with brisk winds.
Welcome back to the News Hour. It is 6:37. Now, this story in all of the papers today. Car crash. This is the story about Peugeot, which yesterday announced it was axing 2,300 jobs in its Coventry factory. And of course, this comes after a bad year for the Midlands last year, when MG Rover axed 6,000 jobs. The unions are holding mass meetings with workers today. And of course, many families affected are waking up this morning still digesting that bad news from yesterday. Well, Jonathan Swain is with one family, the Tomlinsons. Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning, Jackie. Well, these redundancies couldn't really come at a worse time for the Tomlinson family. Here we are in the kitchen. They're just in the middle of having it refitted. They've just spent £3,000 on the new cupboards. Now the family are wondering how on earth you're going to pay for it, really.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. We only bought it actually yesterday, Bank Holiday Monday. We went down to home base and you know, in the Easter sales. So yeah, it's going to be hard to pay for. We were living to what we were earning. Wasn't expecting this at all, although in a way in the back of my mind was expecting it, but you never really are. And yesterday it happened, and now we're in this situation of, like you say, yeah, how are we going to pay for it? And
now, Rob, you're a family man. Let's just take a look through the serving hatch here this morning. We've got your family having breakfast. We've got 8-year-old Hannah there, 10-year-old Connor, and mum Alison there. So, Alison, obviously you've got holidays planned as well. It's all going to be a bit financially difficult this year, isn't it?
Yes, it has. It's been devastating news. My wages alone won't support us. The holiday is due to be paid off in May. I just don't know where the money's going to come from.
And like all children, they've got expensive tastes as well, no doubt.
That's right, and more importantly, Connor goes to senior school in September, and that's a great expense on its own.
OK, thanks, Alison. We'll let you carry on with your breakfast. So, Rob, there is a meeting later on today, but there's no chance, really, of the plant being saved at all. Peugeot definitely made up their minds, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they've made up their minds, and there's no going back now. Yeah, we've got a meeting at 9 o'clock this morning. It's a joint shop stewards meeting with the conveners, and hopefully the outside officials will be there. Then we've got mass meetings later on today, so we'll see what comes from that.
OK, Rob, all the best. Thank you, Alison, family. And Jackie, back to you.
Thank you very much, Jonathan. Difficult times for those families. Thank you very much.
Time now coming up to 20 to 7. Now, us Brits will spend £1 billion betting on the World Cup. But how do you know that they and other matches aren't fixed? Well, there's increasing evidence that many are. And today, the first government anti-cheating summit takes place at Twickenham. It will try to tackle a surge in betting scams and match fixing in all kinds of sports. And here's a reminder of a few famous cases.
In recent years, the so-called gentleman's game of cricket has been at the centre of numerous corruption claims. Perhaps the most famous was that of former South African captain Hansie Cronje. He was banned from the sport after admitting he'd accepted over £70,000 from bookmakers for providing them with match information. Then the beautiful game of football was under the spotlight in 1999 after a professional gambler who had links to a Far Eastern betting syndicate plotted to sabotage a game between Liverpool and Charlton Athletic by switching off the floodlights. Huge profits can be made in betting syndicates if games are abandoned. And in snooker, just this year, Australian Quinton Han was found guilty of match fixing and banned for 8 years. The claim was that he agreed to lose a game in the China Open in return for money.
Well, as I indicated, today representatives from all kinds of sports will sign up to a voluntary code which hopes to eliminate cheats. And joining us now from our Westminster studio is the Sports Minister, Richard Cabourn, and here alongside me, footballer Steve Claridge, who did at one stage anyway have a bit of a gambling addiction, and we'll explain why that's relevant in just a tick. We should stress that Steve did not and has not ever fixed any matches. Let's go to Richard first of all. Good to see you. Thanks for being with us. How big a problem is this, really?
I don't think it's a major problem. I think what we've been trying to do with sport and the betting industry, and indeed the regulators as well, is to make sure that we try to get ahead of the game. I think what you've shown there, you know, on the run into the programme is just a part of it now, because there's a lot more sport being shown on television. Indeed, internet gambling, remote gambling now are features that we have to deal with as well. So what we've tried to do, John, is bring the sports, the betting industry, as I say, the regulators, to discuss how we we can best tackle that. And the code of conduct, which you referred to there, the 10-point code, I'm hoping all the governing bodies will sign up to that, and then the passing of information with a partnership between the betting industry, sport and the regulators will be a major step forward in being able to root out the cheats. And I think very importantly as well, John, and that's to keep the integrity of sport. It's very important, I believe, for our young people to make sure that they know that sport that is being played, as it were, on a level playing field. So it's been good to see all those parties come together trying to make sure that we get ahead of the game.
OK, I'll just come to Steve. I mean, the worry, Steve, is that players like yourself who maybe are either greedy or have got financial problems, possibly through gambling themselves, could be tempted into this kind of thing. Now, you were a gambler, you've said so publicly, £300,000 in debt at one stage, I think. I mean, how bad did it get with you, and were you ever tempted to this kind of behaviour?
No, firstly, I want to clarify, I was never in debt, so, but I've spent money.
So you lost a lot of money?
Yes, I've lost money. No, I think what is, it's not as prevalent as we imagine. I mean, it's not a major problem at this stage, but what you've got to understand is that the accessibility now to betting and gambling, you know, online poker, slot machines, obviously horse racing, which has always been there. So there's a far broader range of things that people can bet on. And a lot of boys, not necessarily into just racing, but they might have on the poker, they might have a bet on, as I say, online, internet gambling, whatever. So it's far more accessible. That is where the problem can start.
But when you were losing all that money, were you ever tempted? I mean,
No, absolutely not. No. I mean, there were always, in my case, I spent what I earned, and you know, and unfortunately, it was too much of what I earned. But no, I was never tempted. I mean, it's in a sport like in a team sport, it's very, very difficult to cheat.
Oh yeah, it's very difficult to throw a match. But you see, these syndicates in the Far East, they bet on all sorts of things. They bet on things like the first foul, the first throw-in, the first time the ball goes into the opponent's penalty area. Now, it's relatively easy to fix that, isn't it, as a footballer?
Very
or
much
in
so.
cricket,
Yes,
first man out, whatever.
Absolutely. I mean, there was a spate. I'm not sure you can do it now, where first 5 minutes you could bet on a throw-in. You know, and I know some people who just try to kick the ball out from a kick, from a dead ball kick. So yes, there are. It is open to abuse. There's no doubt about that. But with regard to a broader scale and a bigger scale, no. But there are always going to be people who are looking for, you know, just quick gains. I'm sure it's not that prevalent. You know, I've got.
Well-intentioned this may well be, Richard. It certainly is a good move and a move in the right direction. But it is only a voluntary code. I mean, given the fact that you are dealing with crime syndicates here, particularly foreign crime syndicates, is a voluntary code worth the paper it's written on?
Well, John, I think you've got to put this into context. We have been modernising the whole of gambling, as you probably know. We've now got our new gambling commission, which is coming online, which has got considerable powers. It can make void bets. We can actually bring imprisonment for those that are found to be actually in a criminal way through gambling. So, as I say, this is one strand of the modernisation that we've been going through over the last 18 months to 2 years as far as gambling is concerned. And Steve's absolutely right, you know. I mean, there's such a change now with the development of internet gambling and remote gambling that unless we do take this action, and say action in partnership, then we're not going to be able to make sure we can keep the integrity of sport, or indeed keep crime out of gambling in its totality. So I think it is important that we can actually use this partnership, not only, I say, to keep the integrity of the sport, but also to use the information now that is passing electronically, and we can detect, or indeed the industry can detect very quickly whether there are actually huge amounts of money being put on a particular bet. We've seen this particularly in horse racing, but we can pick that up now electronically, and that can be very quickly, as it were, transmitted to the stewards or to the regulatory authorities. So whilst on the one hand it makes gambling more accessible, I think the information that we can get can also be moved much more speedily as well.
OK, cheats beware, you've been warned. Richard, thanks very much indeed. Steve, all the best to you, particularly at Walsall, where you're now playing, despite your advanced years, 40 years old and still playing terrific stuff.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Steve.
You're watching the News Hour on GMTV. This morning's headlines. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes are celebrating the birth of their baby daughter. She's been named Surrey and weighs 7 pounds 7 ounces. Both mother and baby are doing well.
Away from show business, thousands of workers facing redundancy at Peugeot's plant in Coventry will meet today to consider their next move.
And President Bush says all options, including the use of military force, are still on the table to prevent Iran from developing nuclear weapons. Now, imagine this. twins are so close they develop their own private language. The problem is Jack and Luke Ryan, at 4 years old, don't speak any other language.
Oh, yeah, you. Happy. Oh, you. That one. Yeah, me too. Oh, you
Did you understand that? Well, I'm chatting to them here, actually, and I still don't understand. Jack and Luke's mum is baffled too. She's here. Good morning to you, along with Dr. Hilary Jones. Now, the gorgeous little boys, they started off at 1 year old saying mum and dad and normal things, and then what happened? It just didn't go any further.
They started talking at right stages, and it just didn't go forward from there, really. It just started going back. It sort of stopped and went into the baby babble, and then it just didn't move on. It just sort of created their own language.
And can you understand much of it or any of it? I suppose you pick it up.
Yeah, I do understand quite a bit of it. We're tuned in now, and so do other people. And they do say a few words that's in English, you know, they do say a few things that we can understand.
So what sort of, give me some examples of words then that they use for...
But they'll just like shorten everything. It's like a shortened speech, like me want to do so, you know, and you know, we just pick up little bits of it, really.
And they call each other. So Jack, who's that sitting next to you? Who?
Yeah, Wawan.
Right, okay. See, that didn't make much sense to me.
Ben. Baby Ben, baby daddy.
Yeah, baby Ben's with daddy, isn't it?
So you do understand it?
Yeah.
I don't wait, Dad.
Well, we have to. If we didn't, we won't get by, I don't think.
It's very strange. Is he wondering where Daddy is? Is that what it is, or something like that? Oh,
it's just saying that baby Ben's with his daddy.
Because obviously he can understand us completely.
Yeah, they understand everything that we say.
Okay, all right. Now, okay, it's very cute and it's sort of unusual and nice now, but school presumably is looming. So what happens then? Are you concerned about that?
We're very concerned. The fact that they're just not getting enough input, really, and not getting enough speech therapy. When they do get it, it's an hour a week, and it's just not good enough, really.
And it's not just that they don't mix with other children. They go to nursery school, don't they?
They do go, yeah, and they start 6 months early to try and bring them, you know, into talking to other children.
And do they interact with other children then, or not really?
Well, they do, they try, but obviously kids can't understand what they're saying.
So bizarre. And they've got a little brother, Ben, isn't that right, who's 17 months old, who's already speaking more English than they are.
Well, he's not talking more, I don't think. He's just saying the same sort of words, you know, mummy, daddy, and he's very clear.
And do they call you mummy and daddy now, or not?
Jack calls me Money.
Money?
Yeah.
That's quite
It's very nice.
It's probably on the right.
But you call me Mummy, don't you?
What do you call this lady sitting next to you? Who's she then?
Money.
Money. Very good. Hilary, very bizarre. You've got twins. Do they do this?
Yes. I mean, 40% of twins will mimic each other. They'll mimic each other's language. They're close, they're inseparable, and they're spending a lot of time together, so one copies the other. And they tend to talk phonetically to begin with, and they'll mix up, I think they say Teddy instead of Telly.
Yeah,
and
it's got quite a few words instead.
So one will copy the other,
but how long
and
will it
perpetuate
go on?
the language.
Because it's worrying with school and everything, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, this is quite exaggerated and quite late on to have the same private language, autonomous language as they call it. And of course, school is a worry. I wouldn't be that concerned. I think this will quickly resolve itself once they go to school. And you know, if I were you, and this is entirely a decision for you, I would separate them in different classes to force them.
That's a hard thing to do,
Well, that would be good for them in order to break this cycle.
Yeah.
And the same thing applies if you have parents of different who speak different languages, say mother's French and father's English. Then children's speech will be delayed, but they'll be bilingual later. So, you know, there are pros and cons. Here, they're going to be a little bit sort of delayed because their speech is lazy. They're not listening to the exact phonetics. So, mummy is money, and the M needs to, you know, become N needs to become M. But speech therapy can achieve that. You obviously need a little bit more of that, and I would encourage you
We're
to
going to
do
have
that.
to leave it there. We're going to have to leave it there. We will be talking to you a bit later on. Let's just get the boys to say goodbye. Can we say goodbye, boys?
Say bye.
Bye. We understood that. That's better. Thank you very much for joining us. You'll get more on that story, by the way, in Pick Me Up magazine, which you can buy in the shops now.
Yeah, absolutely intriguing. Andrew and Fiona next with GMTV Today.
They'll have more on Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes' new arrival. But next, we'll have the weather with Andrea.
I'm gonna make some people vom, people vom, people vom, spew their guts and cry to mom. Ain't that pretty? I'm gonna give them diarrhea, 5 times longer. 5 times longer? Maybe later. 5 times later.
New Domestos 5X. Sticks around 5 times longer. Millions more germs will die.
There's a good reason why the best-selling treatment for warts and verrucas is clinically proven Bazooka Gel. Bazooka simply and safely eliminates warts and verrucas and dries to form a water-resistant protective barrier. No mess, no fuss, no plasters. So for a painless answer to warts and verrucas, ask your pharmacist for the #1 selling Bazooka Gel. And Bazooka that verruca.
Relieve the pain of wind and colic with Dentinox Infant Colic Drops. Effective and fast.
Choice on toast. Macaroni choice. Choice on pickle. Cauliflower choice. Pilgrim's choice. When you're choosing cheddar, make it Pilgrim's choice.
Yeah, so power gen are cheaper than... Actually, it's bad karma to say it out loud.
Cheaper than British Bus?
Positive energy from power gen.
Want someone you can't take your eyes off of? Find someone special in 6 months or get 6 months free. It's our Make Love Happen guarantee. Join Match.com today.
PC McGarry's had a complaint about the noise at Windy Miller's. Gosh, it is noisy. What have you got there, Windy? Oh, Quaker Oat granola. The super grain goodness of Quaker Oats in a crunchy cereal? That's new. Perhaps PC McGarry might like a bowl. You're in the clear, Windy. He's eating all the evidence.
Quaker, we know our crunchy oats.
Mom, I prefer thin and crispy.
In Humdrum, you get what you're given. In Chicago Town, you can now choose between new thin and crispy individual pizzas as well as original deep dish, all with a variety of toppings. Chicago Town, a million miles from Humdrum.
At B&Q, it's 20% off time. With 20% off all coloured emulsion, matte or silk. And that includes any colour from our clever mixing machine. And to finish off the job, there's 20% off all real wood flooring and laminate. Beautiful. Real deals at B&Q. Ends April the 20th.
An unassuming child, a carefree princess, a young woman faced with the weight of an empire. To mark her 80th birthday, share in the most personal moments of Her Majesty the Queen, with previously unseen archive footage of The Girl Who Would Be Queen, Friday at 8:30, ITV1.
GMTV weather, sponsored by Nestle Cereals. Whole grain for the whole family, every morning.
Oh, hello. Sorry. Busy chatting away with Andrew.
What you were talking
No,
about?
I won't. Tell everyone what I was talking about. Good morning. A lot of cloud around this morning across the UK. Let's take a look down underneath it. You can see some areas across southern counties of England starting off a little bit drier, but still fairly misty and murky in places. We do have some rain around at the moment. It's across parts of Wales. It's moving in towards the Midlands. Got some showers as well across parts of Scotland.
This is where the main area of rain is. You can see here it's across Wales, northern, southern Wales, mainly out to the west. You can see this is where the main area of rain is through today. South of that, we are seeing some brightness, a little bit misty, a little bit murky in places. Starting off fine, dry and bright, though, across much of Northern Ireland, southeastern parts of Scotland. But you can see there a mixture of sunshine and showers elsewhere across Scotland. And that will increase as we go through today. We will see, I think, a bright afternoon for the southeast for Scotland. But there you can see the showers continuing to move in. Not a bad afternoon for Northern Ireland as well, once those showers clear away. I think it will be fine and dry too for the Isle of Man. For southern Scotland, most of northern England, it will improve. Mixture of sunshine and showers, you can see from Cheshire across towards Lincolnshire, Yorkshire, that sort of area. But anywhere south of that, in fact, you can draw a line from the Wash down towards South Wales. Anywhere south of that, a lot of rain around this afternoon. Really only the far south and east could well maybe hang on to drier weather. Maybe not necessarily bright blue skies, but drier weather till the end of the day, and then it'll turn showery. And for the southwest, similar story really. That's South Wales into Devon, Cornwall, Somerset, that sort of region. Channel Islands, you're going to see a mixture of sunshine and showers this afternoon, and highs of around 12. Here's your summary.
For your in-depth local outlook, visit our website, gm.tv, or for a 10-day forecast, call GMTV's Weatherline on 0905 514 0000.
It's a girl. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes are parents to baby Suri. Cue more gushing. Good morning. You're watching GMTV today.
Yes, morning to all of you in Surrey and the rest of the country. It's almost 7 o'clock. It's Wednesday, the 19th of April, 2006.
News from Hollywood this morning. Tom Cruise's fiancée, Katie Holmes, gives birth to a baby girl, 7 pounds 7 ounces apparently. Carla is in Los Angeles.
I'm standing outside Tom Cruise's Beverly Hills mansion because it's official. Baby Cruise has finally arrived. Join me a bit later on in the programme for all the details.
Everybody going well? Everyone refusing to talk about whether there was silence or not on all those?
That's all everyone wants to know. No one cares whether it's a girl, what it's called. Did she scream? That's what we all want to know.
Got a girl, didn't they? Lucky. That's lucky.
Yeah, we're just
boys
saying
are,
that,
yeah, boys are horrid. Girls are great.
Oh, boys are brilliant. they're basic boys.
They knock everything
over,
don't they?
You know where you are with them.
Yeah. Constantly fighting, aren't they? You're two.
Yeah.
Mars are two. Yeah. Two girls, 13 and 11.
Well, I'm getting shouted at by the producer. You realise that she might not be shouting in your ear, but she is in mine.
She wasn't actually.
Better get on with it. This morning, blame it on US foreign policy, blame it on Iran. Whoever you blame it on, the bottom line is this. You'll be paying £1 a litre for your petrol by the end of the summer. We're live at a petrol station this morning where that's on the verge of happening. And we're live in America too, where petrol still costs less than half what it does here.
As police continue their search for a woman they believe jumped to her death with her son from the Humber Bridge, we'll be asking what drives a mother to take such a tragic path.
And this morning we're meeting two special guests of the Queen who share her birthday and who'll be lunching with her later on today.
7 o'clock is the time, already halfway through the week. Jackie with the news.
Thank you, Andrew. Good morning, the headlines today. Hollywood's latest star is born. Tom Cruise and Katie Holmes celebrate the birth of their daughter. The paparazzi's there too. Thousands of workers facing redundancy at Peugeot in Coventry are to meet to consider their next move. And the golden ball, which will be kicked to glory in the World Cup final. It's the news Hollywood and the paparazzi have been waiting for. Tom Cruise and fiancée Katie Holmes have had their much-anticipated baby. Carla Romano is in Los Angeles with all the latest. Carla.
Morning, Jackie. Yep, they've finally done it. Tom and Katie are the proud parents of a baby girl who they've called Suri, which means princess in Hebrew, and red rose in Persian. We know that mum and baby are doing very, very well. Suri weighed in at 7 pounds 7 ounces. She measured 20 inches. We don't know exactly where Katie gave birth, but we do know that Tom was very keen on her having the baby at home. We hear that he spent an estimated $250,000 preparing the house for a home birth, and that's where all the activity was today at the Cruise Beverly Hills mansion. All media gathered outside, and also quite a few fans desperate to catch a glimpse of their hero, of that famous smile. A lot of excitement there today.
We're big fans. We just want him to come out, congratulate him on his new baby.
Congratulations on your new baby.
Congratulations on the birth of their daughter.
Everybody's been waiting for it a long time now.
Congratulations on the miracle of life. I have twins here, so I know it's a blessing.
I think it's exciting news. I can't wait to see him, just to yell congratulations.
Now, we don't have any more details about the birth, but what we're desperate to know is, did she scream? Did she have any drugs? We know that the placenta definitely wasn't on the menu, but hopefully I'll get all the information when I get a chance to speak to Tom Cruise myself in a couple of days' time.
We look forward to it, Carla. Thanks very much. Mass meetings will be held today at Peugeot's car factory at Ryton near Coventry. Thousands of workers are facing redundancy after the firm's decision to close the plant. While Jonathan Swain is at the home of one of the families affected. Good morning, Jonathan.
Morning, Jackie. Well, these job losses really couldn't come at a worse time for the Tomlinson family. They're just in the middle of refitting their kitchen here. They've just spent £3,000 on new cupboards. Rob's with me this morning. Rob, you've been working at Peugeot for 8 years. Yeah. Has the news sunk in this morning?
No, not really. It's still a shock, and it's going to be difficult, and I think there's going to be some hard times ahead. So what happens from here on in, we'll just have to wait and see what happens, but it's going to be difficult.
OK, you're a family man. Just take it up through the serving hatch. Got the family having breakfast this morning. We've got 8-year-old Hannah, 10-year-old Connor and mum Alison there. Alison, obviously it's going to be difficult this year. You've got bills and holidays to pay for.
We have. We've got the bills to pay, food to put on the table, and we've got to clothe ourselves.